I am Tim. Welcome to my stream. Yeah, I stream my workout for the rest of the year, at least, if not longer. Doing a body transformation. The difference between this body transformation and other body transformations is that I am not taking any sort of supplements, so no protein supplements. That's like no protein shakes, no protein powders. I'm not taking any creatine, no BCAAs, nothing extra. Just focusing on getting all my nutrients from the food that I eat. I'm not opposed to supplements. I think they're great. You want to take them, awesome. Do what works best for you. I've taken plenty of supplements in my day. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary to take supplements to hit my current workout goals. So, and the secondary reason is that supplements were costing me about $100 a month when my kids started preschool, which is not cheap. So if I cut out supplements, it saves me about $1,200 a year, and every little bit helps. So working on going from there. All right, today is Thursday, so today we're working on chest. So we're gonna be doing the bench today. And if you notice, I have my Superman costume hung up in the back there. If you go to my YouTube channel, I'll talk about it more. But basically, I bought that costume 2 years ago with the idea that I was going to wear it on Halloween and look awesome. But I didn't lose enough weight to really pull it off. So got the shoulders and the muscles look great, but in the middle, it was not so fantastic looking. So I'm challenging myself to lose the weight in the midsection. So hopefully by October it'll look better. It's 5 months. I think pull it off in 5 months. It'll be great. Oh. All right. Going to warm up with some 10 pounders. That's 4.53 kilograms. Now I'm super excited to start cutting some fat out and focusing on that again. It's definitely going to be a little difficult. One of the things that makes it harder um, is making food for my kids, because I like to cut out carbs, but I'm not cutting out carbs for my kids. So then I hate when I make something and it goes to waste because they're not big enough to really eat at like a whole meal worth of food. So then I end up eating it, and I just gotta plan better. And last time I was cutting weight, I did less carbs and I cut out carbs during the week. But I noticed that when I cut carbs out too much, I would like cramp up more. Morning, Collins. Hey, thanks for checking out my post on YouTube. Appreciate that. I saw your comment this morning. All right, that's 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 9.07 kilograms. Just warming it up. Man, my YouTube algorithm, the algorithm on YouTube, because I am focused mostly on with fitness and stuff. It pops up like the craziest trends that people are doing all the time. And just people like my favorite ones are the extreme weight loss ones, where it's like somebody losing. There was like one guy that was like, I lost 100 pounds in 4 months. And it's like, okay, like that's doable for if you got really crazy. That's doable. You could lose 100 pounds in 4 months, but who's gonna be following that diet on the regular? And what's the bounce back gonna be on that? There was this show that was really popular called The Biggest Loser that would show these guys would come down and lose massive weight, and then they didn't really show. And like obviously the internet found out over time. But for a while, you didn't really see it. It was just the amount of weight that some of them would put back on. Um, I knew there were two Samoan guys that were on the show in the earlier seasons. I actually worked with both of them, and they lost the weight. They put it back on, but then they lost it again. And I don't know where they're at now as far as the weight goes, but I feel like there should be more of a spotlight on that. On what does it look like if you like for these people that drop that major weight? What is it like if they keep it off? Colin's seen the show. Yeah, like, it'd be nice if they would grab one of these guys and be like, "Hey, we're gonna keep filming you for another year or two, and have an honest conversation about what it's like." Jake Collins says 600-pound life does that. They do. And where they are now, segments, and you see where the people are at. Yeah, I've seen the 600-pound life one. Some of them, man, like it's it's rough to watch. Um, One of the things like I question is the emphasis that the show puts on um, going through the trauma of why you got so big. And there's always been a long time thing about like, oh, you gotta, you know, dig into your trauma to understand where your life was, and you gotta deal with all this trauma. And the last like half decade or decade or so, there's been a lot of people saying, "Hey, no, that's a bad idea. If you've dealt with serious trauma, reliving it and digging deep into it is not the answer to mental health." And I definitely, I definitely see where like that's somewhat accurate. Um, and especially if you watch the 600-pound life, like you see them like open up and share and then spiral or not hit their goals. And you can see where it becomes like an excuse for them. But everyone handles trauma differently. So it's weird. When I when I worked in the group home, you're dealing with kids that have had a massive amount of trauma, and it's so weird that when you see the differences in how they deal with it, and then you would get kids that had very little like issues coming in and just being out of their minds. Jay Collins says, I'm going to need more weights for my adjustable dumbbells. Max is 42, and I just pressed it 10 times. Yeah. I got there's some plates on Amazon to buy. I got my plates from like a local reused place that sells like old gym equipment. It was a good deal. It was better than buying it off of Amazon. Just make sure that um, your plates will fit. Because there's not mine are adjustables I bought off of Amazon, and they're supposed to be 1 inch, but I picked up some 1 inch plates that won't fit on the bar. So it might be nice to take your bar in and make sure something fits. That's what I had to do. That or comb Craigslist. Colin says, "Gotcha. I'll take the bar with ready to use equipment store." I'm thinking Facebook Marketplace. Yeah. My brother-in-law got really lucky. They're on Facebook Marketplace, and there was a guy selling. I think it was an elliptical, and they went and checked it out. And he was like an older guy that's kind of just at the end of working out, and he had just a ton of old equipment to get rid of. That's how I ended up with um, my other 10-pound plates. So you can get lucky with that. I like having the plates. I like having the dumbbells. It definitely takes away from the side of like having an excuse not to work out. So you don't really have to go to the gym if you have, the basic stuff. And it doesn't get more basic than just adjustable dumbbells. If you do go on Amazon, definitely read the reviews of the gym equipment. There's some deals that they have on there for plates that when you go through, they're not good. But you got to really pay attention. There's always an offer on there for a bunch of weight, and I look at it. I'm like, man, like there's no way you're selling good iron plates for that cheap because iron's not that cheap. There's usually a pretty consistent price point for buying iron. Like the sports store I go to, the used one, they have a set price always for their used iron because it has to be just a little bit better than the recycling place. Because people will buy iron and just take it down and get it scrapped. That was 9. I was really hoping I was gonna do full 4 sets of 10, but did not. I don't wanna. It's not like when I do shoulder press. When I do shoulder press, I can really push it to like the extreme because worst comes to worst, I can just drop it to the side. But I don't like to do that with bench press. Yeah, it's one of the points of doing these workouts like this and putting it up live and putting it on YouTube is just I wanted to see how far I could push it with the equipment that I had, what that I have, and kind of show everyone like what you can do on a budget with limited resources. That you don't need like a full gym set to be in good shape. I mean, I have like a garage, so I have space dedicated, but really, you don't need a lot of space. I don't. It's not like I use the whole mat for my regular workouts. All right, I'm gonna do one more set with the 65 pounds, 29.48 dumbbells. Um, just pushing it a little bit. I'm gonna go until I can't. All it says I do it in my office or living room. Yeah, you know. I like that you have an office. That's pretty cool. Next time I move, I'd like to be able to have an office slash entertainment room just dedicated to video games. All right, 6 of this. We have 2 bedroom apartment. The second bedroom is my game room slash office. Work out, and I use the closet because in here because I live with a woman. Oh well. No, I get that. We I lived in a 1 bedroom apartment with my wife for like 8 years, and our closet was definitely would get overrun. Plus, because it was a 1 bedroom apartment, for the longest time, it was like stacked with storage stuff. Until I started my own business, and then when I started my own business, I took like a lot of our storage stuff to where I kept my trailer for work, and we just moved it all into a corner. That made my life a lot easier. My wife would always seem to randomly need something that was buried in the back of the closet. So I'd have to pull everything out just to find one thing. What's crazy is now that we have a house, we actually have gotten better about not having as much stuff. Both of our moms are huge with hoarding stuff that they don't need. We're like, man, we need to not have that be us. So we both work really hard not to hoard. And it's funny is I did that 23andMe last year, and in my there's like a whole thing of traits, and for some reason I don't know how they tell this or determine this, but they said that I had a genetic trait with a predisposition to hoarding stuff, which I thought was hilarious. I don't know how they tell that, but all right, that was 60 pounds, 27.21 kilograms. Yeah, somehow also 23andMe said I have more Neanderthal DNA than like 83 or 89% of people that take the DNA test. And I said I had, as part of that makeup, I had the ability to put on muscle as a elite athlete. When I saw it, I was like, man, did I waste my all my potential? Because I'm definitely not an elite athlete. All right, I'll just I'll just use that to motivate my kids to be athletes. I gave you the best of genes. That was 8. One of my kids hopefully learned a valuable lesson that they will stick with. Um, they punched the wooden cabinet in the kitchen yesterday because they were mad because I wouldn't let them have the tablet. And they felt really stupid because they hurt their hand. I'm like, yeah, that's why you don't hit things. That's why you don't punch things. I've never understood that though. I've never been a guy that like punches random objects to express my anger. I think partially because it makes me maybe worse. I would just punch real people. It's funny is that I saw Fight Club when I was like younger, and I really liked it. And it wasn't until I was like in my 30s where it finally hit me that Fight Club is not for me. That the heroes of Fight Club don't represent me because I'm, I didn't make it to my mid 20s to 30s, never been in a fight. And that had never been me. I was like, oh, I guess this movie's not really for me. Because I've always been in fights and gotten in fights. Which is probably why I never felt the need to blow up a credit card company. But I'm hoping my kids do a better job of controlling their impulses to punch people. I managed to give my first bloody nose, or give a bloody nose to someone when I was like 4. It was an older kid who told we were playing with GI Joes, and this one much older kid had brought his GI Joes over, and the kid that was older than me told him not to let me play with the GI Joes because I was a baby. And I was like, I'll show you. And I just punched him and gave him a bloody nose. Colin says they'll be fine. They have good parents. Plus, kids these days are soft. Yeah, I don't want my kids to be soft. But I know what you're saying. Other kids will be soft for sure. I mean, my both of my kids have been doing like 2 mile long hikes in the woods since they were, 2.5 years old. I definitely have them do, exercise and be out in the wild more than other kids. One kid, uh, one kid wanted to do a play date with my kid, and I texted their mom because I feel weird going to a mom's house just by myself with my kid. I don't know. But I just texted the mom like, hey, like we're gonna go to the park. You want to meet us at the park? And the mom was like, oh no, like we don't go out when it's like 70 degrees, when it's less than 70 degrees. That's it's pretty limiting. Colin says less than 70 is crazy. Yeah, well, I mean, people have different thresholds for what they'll tolerate. That was the 50 pounds, 22.67 kilograms. And teach their own. I just know that in Alaska, kids. I knew this girl from Alaska, and they said their big competition every year in school was to see who would be the last one wearing their sandals in the snow. And she said they would go deep into like winter. Some kids still with their sandals on, just to show how tough they are. And you look at like Russians and stuff and other people that live in the snow and manage to play, and it's just what you allow yourself to be conditioned to when it comes to temperature. And if you're actively playing, even if it's 50 degrees, if you're actively playing, you're going to be plenty warm. It's not like they're sitting in 50-degree weather. I don't know, but I may have a different relationship with the cold. I used to surf a lot in Northern California, and water's like freezing year round. And I'd surf like all the way through winter, into winter, and whenever you get out of the water, it's so cold that you can't use your hands properly. So if you get out and you brought jeans with you or anything, you have to button. You have to like put them on and then get in the car and wait until you finally warm up enough to use your thumbs. And it takes a while. That's cold. When you feel like the cold seep into your bones. cool part is I could go to SoCal and I'd surf year round in SoCal and practically just a spring wetsuit. And other surfers would see you out there and think you were crazy. I'm like, no, man, the water is like perfectly warm. You don't need a full wetsuit. Plus, a wetsuit is cumbersome. And then I would surf in the summertime with nothing, just my swim trunks. No, not even a rash guard. Because I noticed even with a rash guard, sometimes you would get chafed. And I just one day was like, man, I plan on surfing forever. So if I just surf without a rash guard, the skin on my nipples will get harder, and then I won't need it. If I just bear the pain for a little bit, it'll be better in the long run. Wherever you do your skin, whenever you put your skin through tough stuff, it gets harder. It usually gets softer. What's up, Posh? Good morning. Huh? Harder on the nipples. Talking about surfing. So when you go surfing, your surfboard, you tend to like rub this area raw if you don't have a rash guard. But I just got tired of wearing a rash guard, so I just let it rub raw and heal up, and rub raw and heal up, and eventually the skin just got tougher. That is a weird point to jump on. No lube, straight raw. LOL. Yeah. Thanks for answering my question, Plush. I had Plush is from or lives in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia, and I saw this video about how camels will stop eating or drinking water if they get some disease, and they figured out that if you feed a poisonous snake to the camel, it'll start secreting tears that will help it get over its disease. And it was one of those things like I couldn't tell if it was a true story or not. And like the accounts online that were talking about it were of questionable quality, but thanks to Plosh, I found out that's true. So now I know if I ever have a camel that's not eating or drinking, what to do. The one tip I heard recently, I heard this one on Rogan, but man, I didn't know this, and I think it's super fascinating. Is if you're in the wild and you need water, they said you can And for some reason, all these things have to do with having a piece of plastic, which I probably should start rolling up plastic because I don't always have plastic with me. But it says you dig a hole in the ground and you take a bunch of green vegetation from all around and you put it in the hole, cover the hole with the plastic, leave it overnight, and when the sun comes up, there'll be water on the plastic. That was a good tip. Obviously, you would need multiple holes and multiple pieces of plastic to really make that a good way to get water. But you know, some is better than none. I also heard a long time ago that even in the desert, if you dig a hole in the sand and you put a jar in the sand and you put a rock in the middle of that jar, that when you check it in the morning, there'll be water in the jar. That the moisture will collect and there'll be water in the bottom of the jar. Another way to survive. I don't know. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I think knowing those tips, I like watching the ones about how to make fires in pits in case you're ever like stuck outside and it's super windy. I also like the one I learned about how to make a fire when it's raining or it's been raining, like how to find dry wood. You got to find like rotting logs and stuff. But that was fascinating. And I don't see being stuck in the wild like that, but you never know. Plus says, "Oh, you like the surviving tips?" I do. I do. I used to go backpacking, and you'd go into the woods for like 3 or 4 days, and then I would think when I would come out, like you don't know what's happening in 3 or 4 days. The whole world can be on fire by the time you get out of the woods, and there might be a chance you come out of those woods and you say, you know what, I'm going back in. I'm gonna go. I have a clean water filter. I have a fishing line. I've got all the tools I need to not deal with this world for a few months, at least till winter. You might just decide to go chill. And there was some guy down in Mexico that was a um, killed his wife, which makes this not a great story per se, but killed his wife and then just hid out in the jungle for years until the statute of limitations ran out on the murder, and now he's just going back to his regular life. The only possible issue with going out and living in the wild is that you'll find that lots of people have that plan and have been doing that. You might not find it as less crowded as you like. Is that Superman costume behind you? Yes. If you go on my YouTube channel, it's TimE space E. You can see it. I got a video about it, but basically, I bought that costume 2 years ago to wear at Halloween, and I just wasn't slim enough to pull it off in the middle region. And no matter, even if I stuck it in, yeah, you still have very prominent love handles, so it doesn't look so great. 2 years in a row, I've missed the mark of losing the weight to fit that sucker. But this year, I'm gonna do it. I've got 5 months till October, so that's my way of challenging myself and forcing myself to be accountable to it. All right. Well, that's it for today. I hope you guys have a good Thursday. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming by, Plosh. Haven't seen you for a while, so thanks for stopping by. You guys have a good day, and God bless you. Thank you so much.